Welcome back, everyone, to Round 2 Front 9 coverage of the 2020 Great Lakes Open presented by Discraft, the world leader in disc sports. I'm Brian Earhart, joined again by Tristan Tanner, and we have a new card today.
Yeah, today's going to be a fun round. A little bit warmer weather than we had the first day, maybe a little bit less wind.
Yeah, and we had some scorching scores come in yesterday. No 18 under pars, but with the subtle changes to the course, I think what's been put up is pretty ridiculous. Calvin Heimberg putting up a 13 under par, and it's shaping up to be quite a competitive event.
Yeah, we have a lot of good players at the top and a lot of players looking to take advantage of some maybe a little bit better scoring conditions today.
Yeah, we have Nico Locastro, James Conrad, Emerson Keith, and Andrew Presnell. 4 different companies being represented on this card. Should be a blast, and a lot of differing play styles. And as you can see, our lead card all shot in the double digits, 2 11 under pars, a 12 under par, and a 13 from Calvin Heimberg. And let's see if this card can catch him today.
Hole 1 is a 477-foot par 3. Plays quite a bit shorter than that with a big downhill. A lot of players are going to be playing some sort of turnover or a forehand shot into this green. And really, it's just trying to get right towards that basket.
Yes, that's the most challenging part. I think a lot of players are tempted to go way wide because it looks nice, but this is actually, if he gets the distance.
Wow, and that fought through really far.
Yeah, that just didn't pan out for him.
This is James' DX Rock 3 that he loves so much.
This I like a little bit better, actually.
A little bit lower line. That's a beautiful shot. Emerson has all the forehand power to get to this basket.
Another very solid flick here.
I believe that's a Ballista Pro, maybe just outside the circle.
And Presnell, despite working pretty hard on his sidearm recently, is probably going to be opting for a lot of these backhand turnover lines. And that was so close to flexing out towards the basket. That was a rough tree kick there.
And Nico actually on 2's fairway.
Have you seen a shot go there before?
I have never seen a shot. It's hard to just get right of this basket, let alone 100 feet right of this basket.
And Presnell from just outside the circle.
Ooh, great putt there.
And the focus goes in the basket. And Presnell coming off of a pretty nasty foot injury, too. I actually, it's nice to see him putting up some good numbers here.
As we get a second look at this.
He has such a unique putt.
Definitely.
Kind of like a shove putt, not even a push putt.
Yeah, it comes across his body a little bit, but, I mean, he practices a lot, and he's a great putter.
It's a very direct-looking trajectory. Nice putt there. And this is James's favorite distance.
Just outside the circle so he can take that step putt, and he connects on that. He commits so much when he has that step putt.
100% of his body weight's going into that. This is a bit of a putting spectacle right away.
Great start for this card.
Emerson waving to the 0 fans that have been allowed at this tournament. We are, again, a Phase 1 event in this pandemic. And Nico, we actually commentated on a different tournament recently, and he was really struggling with the putter, so we'll see if he can clean that up. I'm sure he's put some hours in on the basket.
Yeah, definitely. He puts in a lot of time after tournaments, so he should be turning that around. Hole 2 is an uphill par 4. Really hard to get the distance all the way up this hill, but our players definitely have the power to get up there.
Absolutely. And change this year is they push the basket to the far back position where it used to be a par 5, but they've cleaned up the left side to allow the righties to throw that big flex that James is throwing.
This is a wraith from James getting that full turn, and that's great. Up over that little bit of ridge gives you slightly flatter footing, which makes a second shot easier.
Yeah, and I just love how this hole is requiring the players looking for the birdie to throw a pro-level distance line. I believe this is a force from Presnell.
That's flexing back great. Misses those limbs.
That's another huge shot.
Yeah, it's really hard to get up on that second platform. But Nico is definitely going to be trying to do that. Big Anheuser.
I think it's a defender that he just released out of his hand.
Wow, that's huge. That is a massive drive.
And I've said it a couple times already, but this is probably the hardest approach shot that we see all season.
Yeah, really tough footing. It's much more uphill than it looks.
Absolutely.
And you're trying to throw such a big shot from such a hard stance.
Yeah, not to mention the disc going that far uphill, it makes it a little bit more stable with the nose angle too. So players are definitely having to make some adjustments, and James adjusted pretty well.
Yeah, that's a really good shot to get up inside the circle. Prez putting everything into that one. And he gets up there too.
It's one of the longest drives I've seen on this hole. And Nico, I think, going mid-range.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was, but it's a great shot.
Yeah.
He'll be in that probably step putt range that he's been liking with that spin putt.
There's a little chop flick from Emerson.
That's a shot Emerson's really good at.
Yeah.
He has great angle control with his forehand and really able to control faster discs on slower angles.
Opting for a bit more of a safe run at this elevated pin. Just comes up short.
Great putt there from Prez. Quite a bit more outside the circle than I thought, actually. Probably about 45, 50 feet. That was a great putt.
We are going to watch this again. And look at that release. Yeah, look at that interesting. He kind of really shoves the disc towards the basket. It's a really interesting putt release, but it's. I feel like when he's dialed in, there's no missing left or right for him.
Yeah, definitely on the pole every single time.
There's another birdie. It's kind of rare to see multiple birdies on this hole, actually.
Especially on the first two holes.
Yeah.
Great starts from a lot of these guys. And Emerson joins the party. Oh, that was a par. Sorry, forgot about his off to the left side, but that's a great par save, really.
Nico also taps in. And hole number 3, one of my favorite tee shots of the year. Giant downhill blast. And you see so many different types of plays on this hole.
Yeah, you have the opportunity to get a lot of distance if you want to. Go with a distance driver and try to get some turn and get down here by this wall. Or you can play a slightly safer shot and be able to see the basket. But distance really isn't a problem on this hole. It's more about the accuracy off the tee.
Yes. And the farther left towards the OB you get, the easier it is to see the basket as well. So there's so many little nuances to this fairway that I really like.
James goes with a higher line that I've seen people take, actually.
Yeah, he's going driver here. He wants to get to that right fairway.
This is looking great if it sits.
That's about as perfect of a shot as I've ever seen on this hole.
Yeah, he'll be able to see the basket and probably have AVR into the green, I would assume.
Absolutely. Here's Prez with the famous drone.
That does not fly like a drone at all.
No, and I think if he wiped the stamp off, people would guess it was 10 different discs. That is a very well seasoned over stable mid-range. Here's Emerson. I'm assuming he's throwing some sort of driver.
I believe that's an Explorer.
And that's got to get going.
It's got to sit down. It's a common mistake on this hole.
Yep. Well, what's tricky is, going downhill, you kind of get the nose down a little bit, and that way, if you get too nose down, it'll flip over into these blackberry bushes, and too much with the faster disc, you'll hyzer out OB. Nico's fortunately caught enough air underneath it to flex out.
Great shot from Prez. Being back there, it's kind of hard to judge the distance at times. A little bit of a false front on this green.
I like this trajectory.
And that forehand, something we probably wouldn't have seen out of Nico maybe a couple years ago, but he's really trusting that more and more.
He is.
And, yeah, building a lot of consistency.
And just like you guessed, what other disc would he be throwing than an AVR? Great shot.
There's that spin step putt from Nico. You will see him switch back and forth a lot of times in this round. It's really just what he's confident with when he steps up to that lie.
And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he does use the spin putt as his main putt at this point, especially since it's kind of a new frontier for him and he's able to just not think about it as much. And here's Prez from about 25. And that is a turkey, folks.
It's a great start. These are 3 hard holes to get started, and to get all 3 of them really is a great way to start your round.
I guess James decided to do the same thing.
Yep, doesn't want to get left behind.
It's so interesting. I think Emerson and Presnell have opposite putts. Moving into hole number 4, definitely one of the shorter par 4s in the course, but when it comes to the placement, that's what the big ticket is here. You're either throwing a giant power hyzer behind this grouping of trees, or you're really just trying to crash in the middle of them.
Yeah, anywhere in these trees will give you some sort of look up to the basket, maybe with some slightly low ceiling shots, but the hard packed ground allows you to skip shots up towards the basket.
Yeah, I think this fairway has a lot of red zones and green zones, so to speak, that really if you land in them, you either have a really, really rough look at birdie or a pretty simple up and down for birdie. And there's James with the power hyzer. And to be honest, for him being a mainly backhand player, I'm surprised he didn't try sawing his off left more. But he must know something we don't.
Perez with a little bit more height on this. He's going for more of that crash to trees, it looks like. Being on that right side, honestly, as a backhand player, might almost be better because you can throw that Annie. Being more on the left side, it's more of a forehand flex up the hill.
Worst fucking place to fucking be.
And a couple of expletives from Nico.
Yeah, and he knows that on that left side, he's going to have that low ceiling from those trees. And Emerson going for the before the trees play. A little bit shorter.
And what's interesting here, and this is where a lot of red and green zones are, where he's at, he might have too low of a ceiling to get underneath those trees in the middle.
You see him taking that flex line. Couldn't quite get it back to flat to get the skip up the hill.
And Nico also knew right away that he was going to have to do something crazy.
Shoots off a root.
And that'll work.
Yeah, not quite the turn he wanted, but that'll be just fine. James probably trying to throw a similar shot. That beat up AVR. And there's a lot of stuff to hit on this approach.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't want to come in with too much Annie because then you'll cut roll right back down the hill. Nico just laying up there. Uh-huh.
Just a clinic from James right now.
And what I like about James's step putt is, for a fact every time it releases, he's not foot faulting. There's no question there. There's a lot of step spin putters that really challenge that, and Nico's is one of those putts. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but James is just a very pure looking spin step putt.
Definitely.
It's good that he took that extra time there.
Yep, really going through his full routine, even though that was more of a routine putt.
Yeah. It's like when you get 3 birdies in a row, you definitely, especially when you kind of wake up and realize, that you have been perfect so far. It's good to take that extra time and kind of reset.
Hole number 5 is kind of a sawed-off left-to-right moving shot. You really want to get a more glide out of the disc than have a dump. So it's kind of an interesting shape that can cause some trouble. But once you get it figured out, it really opens your eyes about what you need to throw.
Yeah, this is one of those holes that players spend more time than you'd think on. Just trying to figure out, how do I saw off this hyzer on purpose with a flippy disc?
Exactly.
And you'll see a lot of different plays here. You'll see the backhand turnover here from James. A little higher than we usually see. That snuck to a nice little place.
Yeah, this hard packed ground really invites some good ground play.
Yeah. And he's going to be about the same spot as James. That's a common miss if you're throwing the forehand. It's kind of hard to throw that punch hyzer with a sidearm, especially since a lot of players like throwing that more flex line. There it is.
Yeah, that great angle control we were talking about earlier. And that is a beautiful shot. It's really hard to get inside, probably bullseye zone there on this hole.
And I actually really commend the backhand turnover from James and Presnell, because if you're hitting a tree on that, you are roll bouncing way left. So good lies for them here.
And Prez just staying on a heater, 5 down through 5.
And he's not just, lipping these putts over the edge. He's drilling these dead center. He's feeling it right now. Here's James from the same distance. Oof.
Just left side, caught a lot of chains. That's one of those 50-50s kind of.
Yeah, and on the Chain Star Pros especially, if you have a putt coming in with a lot of pace on the weak side, I would say it's Discraft's philosophy that they don't want those to stick anyway. But very close to being a solid putt. Emerson taps in a good birdie there.
Couple birdies, couple pars, pretty common on this hole.
And we will catch you on hole 6 in just a few seconds.
Hole number 6 is another kind of shorter par 4. Placement off this tee shot is really a big deal. You want to be more on the right side, which gives you a little bit more of an open look into this green. And we have an elevated basket also on top of a mound, which makes this green really tricky for putting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of importance on placement off the tee yet again, because if you're not in a position to put that upshot close, the elevated pin on a hill makes it very scary to run from a longer distance. Presnell tries ripping a hyzer flip. It's a decent position as long as he has room to swing his arm there.
This is a common miss, a little bit of an early release, and being on this left side, he actually got far enough through, he might be able to work something out.
That Wraith did not stable up for James. Oh, yeah.
Might have to contend with some vines on that one. James throwing that DX Rock 3 again. Holding straight.
Not a bad position to be in from where he was at.
That's that scary putt we were talking about.
Nico's going to have to throw some sort of hyzer flip here. Kind of pinched off. And I think he was maybe still trying to throw a flex on that one.
Yeah, it looked like it. And this is kind of more of a flip-up hyzer than it is a dumping hyzer like we were talking about yesterday.
Presnell is pretty good at that.
Great
Solid
shot there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another chop flick from Emerson. That's nice, and I think he actually put that inside circle one.
This is a scenus that Nico loves so much on those short little flexy
Kind
approaches.
of a glideless putter.
Oh my gosh.
And I had just explained that taking risky putts from this distance is not not good on this hole, but I guess if you're James Conrad and you have a 300-year-old AVR, I guess it's a different story.
Yeah, that was a lot of confidence it takes on that putt. There you see, if you don't hit basket on this putt, you're definitely going to be closer to circle's edge.
And Prez just continues to put on a putting clinic. And he is 6 for 6, folks. That's a double turkey.
Yeah, that is not easy to do on this course.
Nico off to a bit of a slow start, but no bogey strokes yet, so there's still room to keep going. Hole number 7, another placement-oriented par 4. Distance is not much of a criteria here. Make this gap, shoot it as far left and as close to the OB as you possibly can, and then you're going to bend one way around this corner to the basket in this protected little area here. It seems simple, but the execution is a little tougher than you'd think.
Yeah, both shots are very technical angle control wise, especially approaching into the screen. It's really easy to cut roll or get a spike hyzer that rolls away on you.
And what I like about this hole is if you end up in a place like Presnell does, which is a common miss, the second shot to get the birdie is a really spectacular looking shot. Giant panning anhyzer. And that's still a little bit too far straight.
This looks a little bit better from Emerson if it sits down. That's a great shot.
That's perfect.
On top of the hill, close to that OB line.
There's a lot of shots like that on this course where you think it's going to be a really bad shot, and that's the position you actually want to be in. And Nico follows suit there, and that should be in a pretty good position as well.
See that big panning anhyzer you were talking about. This looks like it's getting back to flat. Beautiful shot just outside the circle from Prez.
Nico goes over stable disc on an Annie. Uh-huh.
That's a great shot. It's really hard to get up inside the circle on this hole.
I think Emerson's trying to follow suit there. A little bit more overstable disc on a lower line. Yeah, circle one. And this is what I was really talking about.
Let's to pan a little bit.
And I just love that shot.
That is a beautiful shot. That angle is so cut off.
And you have to throw it high enough to where it runs out of juice.
Wow.
And this basket likes to do that to you. And that's just rough after 6 in a row. He will be outside of circle 2.
It's extremely unfortunate.
And he'll have to take, he'll have to break his birdie streak there.
Emerson talking to those spectators up on the road who are not technically spectating, but they are spectating.
Yeah, Kensington Metro Park is a really enormous piece of property, and there's a lot of multi-use in the park. And I think there are just a lot of curious people, you know, riding their bikes by or walking. And really, until we get to the point where we have only Maple Hill type properties on tour, we're still going to be playing in public parks.
Yep, it's just kind of where our sport's at right now, and yeah, it's
I think
it's
we'll
great
get there.
to have all these people watching, even if they don't necessarily know what we're doing.
What we're doing, or if they're allowed by the the Pro Tour. But
hey everybody, I'm Paige Pierce, and today I'm going to talk to you about my 2020 Tour Series disc, the Buzz. What I love about this disc is its versatility. It's almost as far as a fairway driver, but it's so straight like a mid-range. The Buzz is a staple in my bag. I think this mold is perfect for anybody. With its slow speed and its controllable flight, it's good for all skill levels, and anybody would benefit from having a Buzz in their bag.
hole number 8, par 3, 462 feet, 141 meters. Another one of those very disciplined, trusted hyzers, so to speak.
Yeah, this is another blind shot, and you definitely want to get more left than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of have to decide if you're going to crash the trees and try to get inside the circle, or come in just before the trees and leave yourself with more of an edge of circle putt.
This looks pretty good, actually.
Crash the trees. Look to have dropped inside of 20 feet, probably.
That might be a little bit too left.
Looks like a very overstable disc.
He knows.
He's not happy about it.
A little bit of a correction there from James.
Similar spot to Emerson there, it looks like. Really small gap there, with being a little bit early off the tee. And he just has to pitch that one up.
There it is.
Great putt from Nico. There's a lot of gaps on the around this basket on any side you're on, and it definitely leaves some tricky putts.
James also snags the birdie. And yeah, it looks like Emerson popped through quite a bit and has a nice 15, 20 footer. Great birdie there from Emerson, too.
Unfortunate bogey there from Prez as we move into hole 9. Another very uphill hole, but this one is definitely reachable. You're going to see a lot of players throw roller or a flip-up hyzer down this right gap. Kind of, if you're playing the air shot, you're just trying to get edge of circle left side. The roller can get up into these bushes long or get more towards the basket.
Yeah, and I think this guardian tree at the top of the hill has some limbs that are growing really long and kind of arching over the ceiling here. So you're starting to see a lot more roller plays and just a lot more direct shots at the basket. His is a little bit too far.
Some great
left.
skips, though.
Awesome Anheuser skips. He's about mid-circle 2.
Let's see the roller from Nico. Airs it a long way up the hill. Oh, this looks really good.
Oh, yeah.
That is a beautiful shot. That's a Havoc, I believe, that Nico's rolling.
And James?
He lining up the... Oh, thought he might be lining up the huge hyzer, but going up the middle.
And those low-hanging branches got him. Like I had mentioned. Prez going roller. And that's not too bad.
Yeah, a little bit early. Have that uphill putt.
And he knew it right out of his hand. A little bit too high.
And that's very common from that side of the basket. It is very uphill, hard to get the disc all the way up to the chains.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh,
No. A little bit of a miscue there. A lapse in focus.
You hate to airball your second putt to outside circle 1. Emerson's going to have a real tester here. But as a true spin putter, he is no stranger to these circumstances. Ouch. Double bogey 5 for Emerson, and that's going to shoot him down a little bit. He is now 2 under par for the round after 9 holes.
Solid front 9 from Nico. 4 under, no bogeys. Good clean stretch there from him.
And look at these stats at the bottom. 120 career wins for Nico Locastro.
Yeah, he has been very good for a very long time.
Yeah, he has been through it, to say the least. And that is it for the front 9, folks. We kind of an exciting round to watch for sure.
Definitely a lot of good scoring happening, and our players are all pretty close.
And make sure to subscribe to Gatekeeper Media, and we will see you for the back 9.